Some places don't haunt you because of what happened there. They haunt you because they never let you become a memory. If you ever find an old school, don't stop. Don't even look at it. Because if the school notices you, one day it'll remember your name. And once it does, you never really leave. Nobody in Broward County talked about Blackthorn Institute anymore. Not because it had burned down, not because it was abandoned. People stopped talking about it because, according to an old local legend, the school had a habit of remembering people long after they forgot it. I laughed the first time I heard that story. Schools don't remember people. Buildings don't think. At least, that's what I believed until the day I found myself driving toward the place on a gray October afternoon. The building wasn't marked on any official map. There weren't any road signs. Even my GPS kept losing signal every few minutes as the narrow road twisted deeper through miles of dead oak trees. The farther I drove, the quieter everything became. No passing cars, no birds overhead, nothing. Then the forest suddenly opened. That's when I saw it. Blackthorn Institute, 3 stories tall, dark brick walls wrapped in dying ivy, hundreds of cracked windows staring back like empty eyes. The school didn't look abandoned. It looked patient, like it had been expecting someone, expecting me. I parked my truck and stepped outside. The silence hit me instantly. Not normal silence, the kind that makes your ears ring. No wind moved through the trees. No insects buzzed. Even the leaves on the ground seemed frozen. The front door stood slightly open. Nobody had forced them. They were simply waiting. I told myself I'd take a few pictures, spend 5 minutes inside and leave. That was the plan. The hallway smelled like old paper, mold, and something metallic that I couldn't identify. Rows of lockers stretched endlessly down both sides of the corridor. Every single locker door was perfectly closed. Not one dent, not one scratch. It looked less like an abandoned school, and more like students had disappeared in the middle of the day. Faded banners still hung from the ceiling. One of them read, "Knowledge never leaves." Something about that sentence made my stomach tighten. The deeper I walked, the colder the air became. Then I noticed something impossible. Every classroom clock showed exactly the same time, 2:17. Every single one. None of them had batteries. Still, every clock pointed to 2:17. I let out a nervous laugh. Yeah, that's messed up. My voice echoed through the hallway. Then, another voice repeated the exact same sentence. Half a second later. It wasn't louder. It wasn't deeper. It sounded exactly like me. Every hair on my arm stood up. I stopped breathing. The second voice hadn't come from the hallway. It had come from somewhere inside the building, as if the school itself had copied me. I kept walking. Room after room looked untouched. Books lay open on desks. Half-finished homework waited beside old pencils. A teacher's coffee mug still sat beside the chalkboard. Everything looked frozen in time, like class had never officially ended. Eventually, I reached the library. Towering shelves disappeared into darkness. Thousands of books had rotted away, except for one shelf. It was completely clean. No dust, no cobwebs, just dozens of identical black notebooks. Each notebook had a single name written in white letters, names I'd never heard before, until I reached the last one. It had my name on it. My heart nearly stopped. I'd never been here before. Nobody knew I was coming. With shaking hands, I opened the notebook. The first page described my drive to the school. Every turn, every stop, even the thoughts I'd had while driving. Word for word. I flipped another page. It described me standing inside the library, reading the notebook. Exactly what I was doing. Then I reached the final sentence on the page. He looks behind him. Every instinct screamed at me not to turn around. But somehow, my body moved anyway. The library looked empty, at first. Then something shifted between 2 bookshelves. It was far too tall to be human. Its arms hung almost to the floor. Its body looked impossibly thin. My flashlight landed on the shelf. Nothing. It was gone. I backed away so fast that the notebook slipped from my hands. The second it hit the floor, every locker door inside the building slammed open at exactly the same time. The sound exploded through the school like thunder. I ran. The hallway I'd entered through no longer existed. Instead, dozens of identical corridors stretched in every direction. Every classroom door now stood wide open. Inside each room sat students wearing old-fashioned uniforms. None of them moved. None of them blinked. Every face pointed toward the blackboard. I took one cautious step. Without moving their bodies, every single head slowly turned toward me. Their eyes were completely white. No pupils, no color, just blank white eyes staring at me. Their mouths never opened. They never made a sound. They simply watched. I turned and sprinted. The lights above me began shutting off, one after another. Not randomly. They switched off behind me, getting closer every second, like the darkness itself was chasing me down the hallway. I burst into the gymnasium. Rows upon rows of wooden chairs faced an old stage. Every chair was occupied. Students, teachers, parents, hundreds of them, sitting perfectly still. None of them had faces. No eyes, no nose, no mouth. Just smooth skin where their faces should have been. An old projector suddenly switched on. The screen flickered to life. Yearbook photos began flipping across it. One graduating class after another, year after year, decade after decade. Thousands of smiling students. Then the projector stopped. One final class photograph filled the screen. Standing in the last row was me, wearing a Blackthorn Institute uniform, smiling directly into the camera. The date printed beneath the picture made my blood run cold. It had been taken 20 years before I was born. I stumbled backward. At the exact same moment, every faceless person in the audience slowly turned toward me. The projector changed again. Now it showed a live image of the gym, me standing there, frozen. But something wasn't right. The version of me on the screen wasn't copying my movements anymore. He smiled. I wasn't smiling. He slowly raised one hand, then waved at me. I couldn't move. The version inside the screen stepped closer, closer, until his face pressed against the glass. Cracks spread across the image. Then his hand pushed through the screen. Not out of it, through it. Like reality had become paper. A freezing hand wrapped around my wrist. The lights exploded. Everything went black. I don't remember falling. I don't remember screaming. When I finally opened my eyes, morning sunlight covered the empty parking lot. My truck was still parked exactly where I'd left it. The school was gone. Only dead trees stood where Blackthorn Institute had been. For weeks I convinced myself none of it had happened. Maybe I'd gotten lost. Maybe I'd passed out. Maybe stress had messed with my head. Then one morning, a package appeared in my mailbox. No return address. Inside was a single yearbook. The cover read, Blackthorn Institute, graduating class. My hands trembled as I opened it. Every page was filled with students I'd never seen before. Every face smiled. Every name was listed neatly beneath the picture. Until I reached the final page. There I was, sitting alone inside an empty classroom. This time, I wasn't smiling. Standing behind me were all the faceless students from the gym, watching, waiting. At the bottom of the page, someone had written a single sentence in faded black ink. Attendance is forever.